is at its zenith as far as how beautiful it is. Our city's done a fantastic job of making our city landscape just world class, and so Ragbriers are gonna see that, and it has an impact. And you know, the big difference between 2001 and 2011 is the sheer numbers. The numbers haven't necessarily changed a whole lot that the register does officially, but in total, you know, we're probably expecting somewhere upwards of 25,000 people, and I would venture to say that that's the largest crowd that Grinnell, in its history of being a town, has ever welcomed. So it's you know, it's going to be a big deal.
I'd kind of like to break that down, if you can, just for statistical information. 10,000 registered riders, 2,000 day riders, a number of bandits, and that's the person that I call that rides without registration, and then the support group.
Right, exactly, and that's where it all comes in. You know, that 10,000 weekly passes hasn't, that number has kind of stayed more or less constant. I mean, they bumped it up a little bit. The daily passes, you know, we get a 2,000 or 2,500 of those. I think on a day between Des Moines, essentially Altoona, and Coralville, the two major metropolitan areas of Iowa, we can expect an additional 3,000 to 4,000 kind of day riders. And then every year on RAGBRAI, there's probably 5,000 bandit riders, people that don't ride without a wristband, that don't buy the register's wristband. And then
$5 grand?
I think so. I think it's pretty amazing the number of people that you know, the number of phone calls that you get about that. But and then add on top of that to all the support people, and sometimes, you know, Grandma and Grandpa or Uncle Dave and, you know, Aunt Mary are driving the support van, and that's how it, you know, that's how it goes. So we're going to be darn close to 25K.
How many Grinnellians are involved in orchestrating RAGBRAI overnight in Grinnell?
Oh, hundreds, absolutely hundreds. And you know, that's one of the things with this committee is that, you know, there was a time when RAGBRAI just came to town and they told the mayor or somebody that they were coming. Now it's a full-scale event, and I would liken it to what the towns in France must do to prepare for the tour. I mean, it has to be a similar type process, because just the vast influx of people all at once, and then of course leaving all at once. But I think total, you know, we have 26 on our chaired committee, and then those folks have committees. And I would say just in the RAGBRAI kind of planning organization, probably upwards of 150 people. And then add to that people that are helping their churches and people that are helping the paper, or people that, you know, wherever it is, you know, it's hundreds and hundreds of people. I think our number of volunteers was going to be in the 400 to 500 range. So we're really, you know, it takes a colossal effort.
What are some of your most rewarding moments on RAGBRAI in the 17 years that you've been out?
Well, there's no question the one that emotionally hit me the hardest was Parkersburg of last year. And I probably told this story enough that it's getting old, but every year I go in I take some time during the week and find a place to get a haircut, or for me a shave, and it used to be a haircut. And I was in Parkersburg last year, and I saw a barbershop there, and I thought, well, I'll go see if he has time for a shave. And you know, most of the time the conversation in a barbershop is sometimes worth more than the haircut that you get. But this really proved to be true, because I no more than sat down and he started to tell me about the Parkersburg tornado and how his house was was destroyed, and how his wife of 40 some years had MS, and he couldn't get her to the basement, and he got her down 2 steps on the landing, and he had to make a decision as to whether he was going to dive to the basement to save himself or stand there and hold on to his wife at the top of the stairs. And he said he grabbed the wheelchair with one hand, he grabbed the railing with the other, and the next thing he knew, the house blew apart and he flew like Superman. He said 50 feet out into the yard, and when he came to, his wife was sitting in her wheelchair on the landing, unarmed or unharmed.
Unhurt.
And about that time, I noticed that she was sitting out in her wheelchair out in front of the shop. And, you know, that has nothing to do with bicycles. But that's also why Grinnell should be totally pumped up about RAGBRAI coming. Because we have hundreds of our own stories to tell, and you know, it's the time to do it.
What are some of your most rewarding moments at Bikes to You?
Well, you know, we have a kind of a team atmosphere in our store. Meaning, after the day is done, we go out, you know, we get together, the whole crew comes over at 10 o'clock at night, and we do the highs and the lows, and we talk about the things that we've done right. And for the past 4 or 5 years, we've just, business-wise, we've just knocked it out of the park, and it's because of a team effort. And every year, I'm overwhelmed by how well it all comes together, and how well the people that are around our organization handle themselves. And you know, we're ambassadors for Iowa, and I mean, we're in business, no bones about it. But we want people to know that this is a place you come for a relaxing but yet adventurous vacation.
From day one until projected sales through this RAGBRAI period, how many times have sales grown for Bikes to You on RAGBRAI? Oh,
they do every year. Yeah, I mean, they've just progressively grown.
2,000%.
Yeah. You know, I'll tell you, last year we did more business on Expo Day than we did the first year of business. The first year that we went on RAGBRAI, we did more business in one day than we did the entire week the first year we went. And so that's a big change. We do about 25% of our annual revenues in that 8-day period.
What's the profile of the average RAGBRAI rider? The most interesting rider that has come across your Bikes to You pavilion and wrench shop?
Well, you know, there's a lot of characters out there that have come through. You know, one of my favorite, nobody likes to pick favorite people, but I got an old boy named Bob Carlson. He's from California. He's gone with me for pretty close to 17 years. I should count. Bob is the cousin of Bob Sampson here in town. And that's the connection with Grinnell. And how Bob and I met, he called me and wanted to know, the very first year, he wanted to know if he could get a ride back to Grinnell from the inn. And I said, well, sure. I said, be here at this place at this time. And he checked with me, and he checked with me, and we went over it 100 times. And the day comes at the end for him to be there, and this fella never shows up. And I'd never seen him before. I didn't know what he looked like. And I felt really bad because we've talked, and I was going to give him a ride home and ride back to Grinnell, and he couldn't find us, and I didn't know that he was lost. And at any rate, so I'm leaving Burlington. I think that was the town it was at. I'm driving out of town in my old little Volkswagen by myself at the end of Ragbri, and I see this guy sitting on a curb, kind of forlorn, and something said, "You better pull over." So I pulled over and I said, "Are you Bob Carlson?" And he said, "Yes." He says, "Are you Craig Cooper?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Boy, am I glad I found you." And he jumped in the car, and I gave him a ride home, and he's been with us ever since. And he's coming back this year. Every year he says, "This one may be my last," because he's getting up there in age. But he's just been one of my favorite characters, and he goes with our charter, and this year he's bringing his daughter and son-in-law to go along with him, and it'll be a good time. But we have lots of characters that have rolled by the bike shop.
What's the most extreme?
Well, I'm not sure if I can talk about that one on camera. One time I was in Pilot Mound, and I was fixing a bicycle, and I wasn't paying much attention, and I got the bike all taken care of, and I went to roll it away, and I realized that the young lady didn't have her top on. She had her body painted, and that was and I didn't notice until I was done repairing the bicycle. So that was something for me. But yeah, that was pretty extreme. But I remember it was in Pilot Mound. So.
Do you have an estimate, Craig, on the economic impact on Grinnell, Ragbri, overnight?
They say the register says like in the neighborhood of $3.5 million.
In each overnight town?
In each overnight town. I don't have a real good feel for that, but it's got to be in that neighborhood. And in our situation, for all the nonprofits that have gotten involved, my hope and my belief is that it'll really float their boats for a while. It's for Grinnell proper, the chamber and the Grinnell Ragbri committee, it's really a pretty much a zero-sum game. I mean, we're spending about as much. I mean, I think right now we're projected to have a $67 loss if everything goes as planned. But that could swing a little bit either way. So.
What message would you have for all of Grinnell to make Grinnell the best overnight town in 2011 for Ragbri cyclists? What image do we as Grinnellians need to portray to them? Yep. So one, and we're doing this at the committee level. Is be yourselves, because we're good folks, and we don't have to do something that we're not. We don't have to have 38 special play. We have awesome local music. We have awesome arts, and our farmers market's going to be going. So the one thing is obviously to be ourselves, and the folks that are on Ragbri come on Ragbri to experience small town Iowa and maybe revisit something that they've lost. And if you can have a 10-minute conversation with somebody that you don't know from someplace that you have never heard of, that'd probably be about the best thing that you could do. Craig, you recently have been dubbed an all-around good guy. And on behalf of Grinnell and ourgrinnell.com, I want to thank you and April for everything that you've done for the community in making it a better place to be.